Jerome Powell screwing the crypto economy, and he's screwing the global economy. We're also going to talk HBAR and XRP. A company that bought BTC as a strategic reserve is down big time. Brian Armstrong, CEO of Coinbase, has a massive warning for all of us. It has to do with companies not being able to...
I say lots of naughty things, so here's your warning.
That's right, Powell's screwing us over, and he's going to screw us over even longer now that we've had a little bit of Israel-Iran action going on. BTC's clawing its way back. The rest of the market is still bleeding a bit. Are you buying? Let me know in the comments down below. Speaking of comments, your comments come first because you, the viewer, matter most. Nickel Trickin says, I think we're going down even more. If Iran ratchets things up over the weekend, we're definitely going to see more red up on the screen. So have your dry powder readies, ladies and gents. Yanker1676 says, big players are controlling the prices with bots, and they're building their reserves. Part of controlling the price is making good news for XRP bad for the company, which sends the XRP price down for a better buy-in. And that doesn't include what's happening for the rest of the world. What about Jerome Powell not cutting rates while the rest of the world is cutting rates? Bitcoin sitting at, you know the prices. Let's just get into the news. Trump calls the Fed chair Jerome Powell a numbskull as he urges rate cuts. Dude, for real. Trump has been throwing tons of shade at JP, and JP ain't going to cut rates, and he's not even going to cut rates. Put it this way. With what's happened with Israel and Iran here as of late, that's even more of a reason for Powell to not cut rates. President Trump ripped Federal Reserve JP as a numbskull on Thursday as he turned up the heat on the central bank chief to lower interest rates. Remember, the European Central Bank has cut rates time and time and time again, leaving the U.S. behind. Trump claimed at the White House that lowering the rates by 2 percentage points would save the U.S. $600 billion per year. Also, lowering the rates would totally make the crypto market go green. Why? Because it would bring in a whole bunch of venture capital money, which would help the building in crypto. We're going to spend $600 billion a year. $600 billion because of one numbskull that sits here and says, I don't have enough reason to cut rates now. That's what Trump said. Trump added that he was okay with the Fed raising rates if inflation was going up. Basically saying, look, cut rates now. But if inflation goes up, then raise them. But we've seen Powell was late to raise rates when we saw inflation happening after the pandemic. He was late to cut rates after it started coming down. Oh, what a freaking nightmare. Either way, Powell said, look, I'm not going to cut rates until we get all the trade deal stuff done. And then he said inflation's going to be a concern. Now inflation is going to be a bigger concern with energy prices because of what's happening in the Middle East. JP ain't going to be cutting rates anytime soon. All right, did a story a couple days ago about a company that invested in XRP as a strategic reserve, and the stock sold off. Well, GameStop got into BTC as a strategic reserve, and now listen to this. GameStop stock has fallen over 20% after announcing a $1.75 billion raise to buy BTC. Oh, well, also their revenues fell too, and they're getting big into Pokemon cards. Either way, just because a company gets into BTC or any other crypto doesn't mean that they're going to turn into green. Crypto is not like a life-saving device. In fact, Brian Armstrong, CEO of Coinbase, says, yo, big warnings out here because if companies don't start turning things around with their debt, they're going to be forced to sell their crypto to pay for operating expenses. Coinbase warns of forced crypto sales due to rising debt. In a report from Coinbase, the firm emphasized concerns around refinancing risks and loan-to-value ratios, but said most large firms have options to avoid liquidation. The risk of forced selling pressure arises because of many of these PTCVs have issued convertible bonds to raise cheap money to buy various crypto assets. Oh, we've heard that before. Sailor, Strategy, a bunch of other players out there. The report continues to say that if crypto prices fall and companies can't refinance their debt, they may be forced to sell their crypto holdings, triggering broader market liquidations. Essentially saying, look, crypto is not going to save you, all right? You still need to run a good company. You still need to have plenty of cash. You need to keep your debt down. You need to be profitable. If you want to read that report from Coinbase, which is actually a good one, by the way, 10 pages long, about a 5-10 minute read or so. Got a lot of good juicy stats in it. It's linked where everyone in the description below. Basically saying, look, man, all right, Jerome Powell, you got to lower rates. Companies like MicroStrategy out there, you better start earning some money or else you're going to be pressured to liquidate. Same thing with GameStop out there. Now, the broader crypto market is kind of climbing back from the lows, but it still doesn't look good. All eyes are going to be on Iran's response, and let's be real here. BTC is closer to its all-time high than anyone else. BTC now is only down 0.77% last 24 hours. ETH is down 3, Sol down 4, XRP down 2.76. But some of our favorites out there, like HBAR, are in that buy zone. I know a lot of you watching are like, bro, 15-cent HBAR is where I get in. And we've talked about that, the different buying zones and having cash ready in order to play. Volume is up for HBAR. Why? Well, because of the buying opportunities. Let's go to those candlesticks. I'm going to share with you exactly what I've been talking about. We're going to go to the 4-hour candlestick just to give us a little bit broader of a zone here. Look at this. This price for HBAR is the lowest we've seen all the way since April 9th, everyone. So for those HBAR fans out there like Frankie, this was an opportunity you've been waiting a couple months for to bring your averages down. So 50-cent HBAR, that's on the table. Guess what? If you had cash, you've been able to bring your averages down because as of late, you've been able to see what? Some 22, 20-plus cent HBAR. Those are some good, juicy returns if you're able to hold them for that. I mean, think about it. Within the last week and a half or so, you've been able to look at what? A 20, 30, 40% swing on that action. So be ready to pivot. Be ready to strike on that action, everyone. So Coinbase is giving you a warning saying, yo, some of these companies are going to have to sell their crypto if they can't turn stuff around. I'm telling you, have cash ready because there's going to be plenty of buying opportunities as volatility rules the roost. Now, XRP fans, the story is very similar for us. We've been running that same problem as well. Volatility ruling the roost. Volume is up a ton, 4.5 billion. So exchanges are making a ton of money. Same thing for us. We've been north, though, of the $2 mark, and that's kind of something that I think a lot of you are like, bro, I'm getting so close to my buying targets. Well, let's zoom in again because, look, we've been talking about that $2 support level, and it seems we've been very strong with it. In fact, if you look at the candlesticks, we haven't hit a $2 candlestick since the 11th of April. So now you look and go, well, wait a minute. Are you going to chase XRP north of $2? Or are you going to hold firm and go for that sub $2 XRP? We've seen almost every month you've had that sub $2 XRP opportunity, but you didn't get one in May, and so far you haven't had one since June. In fact, if we zoom in just a little bit here, you could see that in June we've gotten low candlesticks to what, everyone? Lows at 205. In May we had a low at 207. This last one right here, 208.28. So you've seen XRP is getting a stronger floor. Getting to that $2 mark has been a little bit harder. The last time we were able to get a low into that sub $2 mark was right here in April. Check it out. You got it in April back on the 7th, 8th, and the 9th. All right? So opportunities are there. You just have to be ready. But the whole thing is careful not to chase things. We're going to have a lot of volatility. You're going to have Jerome Powell being stingy AF. You're going to have the Middle East being hot AF, right, with a little bit of turmoil action with Iran and Israel. We know how it happens, right, with Russia and Ukraine. That could flare up at any time. And to be honest with you, if this Middle East action starts causing some inflation problems, well, guess what? That can rock the economies even further and put more pressure on everything, which could do what, everyone? Rock the crypto markets. So be ready because Coinbase has issued a warning, and I'm telling you, have that dry powder ready, baby. And remember, there is an FOMC meeting next week with Jerome Powell, but the odds have it at 99.9% chance that he's going to pause. So don't believe anyone out there that tells you, oh, he's going to cut it 100 basis points. Oh, emergency rate meeting. No, that's all BS right now. Jerome Powell is not going to cut it. In fact, first rate cut looks like it's going to be September. So for the things that are going to move crypto, I mean like really move it to the upside, you got some rate cuts, regs and stuff like that. We're looking at fourth quarter, everyone, which is okay, right? It's giving us time to buy, but you got to be strategic though, right? You don't want to chase stuff because you've seen before you can get caught in those traps, right? You don't want to get caught on those green candlestick days. You want to be very strategic about it and be ready for when the market dumps itself. Now, the Iran-Iraq thing, right? Horrible stuff, right? Or I'm sorry, the Iran-Israel thing. Horrible stuff, right? But again, what does it do? It gives opportunities for people out there that are ready for it. So HBAR fans, this was our first time in like a couple months we were able to get that 15-cent HBAR. XRP fans, look, sub $2 is getting kind of tough, but I still don't feel like chasing it. Let me know what your thoughts are on those two targets for buying. Are you chasing, saying, yo, we ain't going to get to those levels anymore, or are you holding strong? Let me know what you think down below. And of course, choo-choo what? Choo-choo bitches. The Pope says go White Sox. I say go White Sox, and they still suck as a team, though.